Hey there, Careblazer. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is what I wish everybody knew about dementia. We'll start with my top 5, but I think I could probably talk about this all day. There are so many things I wish everybody knew about dementia. If more people knew about these things, not only would people be more supportive and kind to caregivers, it would help make this world truly a more dementia-friendly place. So grab your favorite drink and let's get started. First up, let's talk about the state of dementia treatment. Now, I know you might be hoping for a magic cure, but we're not quite there yet. There are some really promising treatments out there, some that are helping with symptoms, some that are even helping with the underlying pathology of Alzheimer's disease. But as of right now, as I'm recording this video, we do not have a cure for dementia. No matter what you hear, no matter what anybody says, we certainly do not have anything that right now you could take your loved one to and it would reverse or take away the dementia. Nothing mainstream available to the public. Now, that does not mean there are not things that can't help. There are a lot of things that can help and improve symptoms, but curing dementia at this point, sadly, does not exist. I am recording this video on Sunday, December 1st, 2024. And so I hope to one day come back into a video and share more exciting news that says we do have a cure, but right now we do not. Okay, number 2, let's talk about a big myth that not enough people understand, and that is dementia is not just a memory problem. In fact, dementia isn't even a memory problem. You can have dementia and have a perfectly fine memory. A lot of times we hear dementia and we immediately associate it with somebody who doesn't have good memory. And the memory piece of dementia is typically really impacted in Alzheimer's disease. And since that's the most popular type of dementia, or I should say the most common type of dementia, we often associate it with memory problems, but there are other types of dementia where memory is not really the thing that's most impacted. Memory is just one of 6 cognitive domains that could be impacted. There are things like attention and social cognition and executive functioning and language and processing speed, all these other cognitive domains that could be impacted negatively and could qualify somebody for a dementia diagnosis, even though the memory is totally fine. And the reason I think this is incredibly important is because it's so easy for people to see somebody with dementia, and because they were able to remember some things, they might think that person is totally fine, when in reality, the person is not totally fine, and that caregiver likely is just as busy, stressed, overwhelmed, and confused trying to handle everything as the caregiver dealing with somebody who's dementia does involve memory loss. So don't be quick to dismiss someone just because their memory seems totally fine. And if you'd like to watch a video on where I break down the 6 cognitive domains, you can click the link in the description below or the link up here, and you can go watch a video on how dementia is so much more than just a memory problem. The third thing I wish everybody knew about dementia is that common behavioral symptoms like suspicion or agitation or frustration, sometimes even hallucinations where they might see things that aren't there, or delusions where they might believe things that are not in reality. While these things are common, they are not guaranteed. Not everybody with dementia experiences these symptoms. I wish that the general public knew this so that they don't have to be scared or concerned every time they interact with somebody with dementia. But I also wish every family member whose loved one has dementia knows this, because it's not a guarantee your loved one will develop these symptoms. In fact, some people with dementia can be totally delightful through the entire course of their disease process. Some people who have been super pleasant and delightful their whole life continue to be pleasant and delightful. And some people who maybe were a little bit rough around the edges their whole life can become extremely delightful through the dementia process. Those things don't get talked about a lot, but it is entirely possible. Okay, number 4, this one is important for all of us to know, is that just because somebody with dementia looks okay does not mean they are okay. Especially in the mild stages of dementia, even into the early moderate stages, there's nothing visible outside to the casual observer that would suggest this person has dementia. And so we just have to recognize that because somebody doesn't have an obvious impairment outwardly, doesn't mean they aren't struggling inwardly. It doesn't mean they don't need support or don't need help. And it doesn't mean that the caregiver is exaggerating or being dramatic when they tell you the struggles of what they are going through, trying to care for the person who looks okay. And even when the dementia does progress and it gets more into the moderate to severe stages, when somebody with dementia does look okay, it's usually an indication that that family member has put a lot of effort and time into helping make that person with dementia appear acceptable. Like truly, the caregiver put in a lot of work to help make that happen. Again, this really gets to making sure we're still offering that support and understanding to the family member, even if it doesn't look like anything is wrong with the person with dementia. This is why one of the most common triggers that can really get under the skin of a caregiver is when somebody says, "Oh, they look so good," or "they seem fine." And it's because the caregiver can easily interpret that as the person doesn't really believe the person with dementia is as bad as they are, but it's the caregiver who put in all this work to make them seem okay. So those words like, "Oh, they look so great," or "they sounded fine," it can be really triggering for lots of caregivers. Okay, number 5, lastly and most importantly, just because a person with dementia might not be able to communicate their feelings doesn't mean they aren't feeling them. People with dementia absolutely feel. They can feel their feelings, they can feel the environment, they can feel and sense what's going on around them, even if they are not able to communicate it. They sense your approach, they sense your attitude, even if they're not going to express it in words. And that's why dignity and care is crucial. Always treat people with dementia with respect, regardless of whether you think they will remember it tomorrow or whether they're able to communicate their experience. All right, Careblazer, what do you think about this becoming a series of what we wish everybody would know about dementia? What would you add to this list? Leave it in a comment below. We as Careblazers, we understand these things, but in order to truly live in a more dementia-friendly world and a more caregiver-friendly world, we need other people to understand these things as well. Remember, understanding dementia helps us provide better care and support. And by sharing our knowledge with other people, we're not just helping each other, we're helping create a more compassionate and informed community. So I really appreciate you being here. And if you happen to be at the very beginning of your caregiving journey and you're actually trying to understand more about dementia, what are the types of dementia, what are the treatments, who are the different providers involved in dementia, we have a program called Understanding Dementia. It's like an Understanding Dementia 101 program. You can go through it at your own pace. There's a link below in the description that you can click on and get access. And if you need any help at all, you can email us at info@careblazers.com and we can point you in the right direction. Careblazer, keep up the amazing work.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free, and Nico says thank you very much.